The machine that we will be analyzing from the Industrial Revolution for Lab 4 in ME 354 is the spinning jenny, and this presentation will be presented by Sam Smith and Carrie Healy. Now I will talk about the purpose and background information surrounding the spinning jenny. It was developed in 1764 by James Hargreaves, who is pictured on the slide to the right. The machine used a large wheel to spin many spindles of cotton thread at once, and this increased the production of textile plants. This invention was particularly important in the cotton industry, and it started the rapid industrialization of manufacturing in the textile industry. The mechanical advantage of the spinning jenny was that it had 8 spindles that were capable of producing the work of 8 people with only one operator. And a picture of the spinning jenny is shown on the slide. In the picture, we see that there's one operator that uses a hand wheel to spin 8 threads simultaneously. This made the process of cotton spinning more efficient for textile manufacturing because it allowed a manufacturing plant to output more cotton threading with less workers. Advancements were made to the spinning jenny in the future that allowed 80 threads to be spun simultaneously at once, producing the work of 80 people with one operator. During our research on the spinning jenny, we could not find any documented injuries, accidents, or machine breakdowns. This was because the spinning jenny was generally a simple machine. However, we did find that the threads produced by the spinning jenny were generally weaker than those produced by a human. This is because a human could wind the threads much more tightly by hand than the spinning jenny could. For this reason, the threads produced by the spinning jenny were generally only used for weaving. A picture of weaving is shown on the slide. On the other hand, threads wound by hand by humans could be used for many more applications.
The spinning jenny utilizes many of the shape synthesis principles that we learned previously in Lab 3. We list a handful of them here and explain how they were used in the design of the spinning jenny. The direct path principle can be seen in the spokes of the hand wheel. This creates a direct line between the point of force application and it helps minimize bending. Similarly, the spokes on the hand wheel are also preloaded, which is one of the joint principles. The spokes and thread spindles are preloaded so they do not buckle under compression. The blue circle highlights the extra horizontal beams that are used to support the vertical posts. These extra beams demonstrate the anti-buckling principle as they help prevent buckling of the vertical posts. Other principles that we observed in the spinning jenny were the shape merging principle and the joint locking devices principle. The extra vertical supports, circled in blue, use the shape merging principle to help prevent buckling and to distribute the load more evenly across the beams. The spinning jenny also violates some shape synthesis principles. Specifically, it violates the joint locking devices principle. The wheels that roll along the track are not locked to any part of the fixed structure, and there should be 3 components of a locked mechanical joint in order to abide by this principle. After analyzing the design of the spinning jenny, it is evident that some improvements could be made to correct violated shape synthesis principles and to make the design stronger. The joint locking principle could be corrected with a design improvement like the one seen to the right. This design uses a more secure joint locking mechanism that would wrap around both sides of the track. This would make it much more difficult for the wheels to come off the track than the original design. This would also ensure that there were 3 components to lock the joint in place in order to abide by the joint locking principle. The torsion of a hollow tube principle could be utilized to replace the solid rods that are used in the design of the spinning jenny. Some of the rods that could be replaced are indicated with arrows in the picture on the right. This would make the design stronger and less likely to fail than if solid rods were used. In conclusion, the spinning jenny was an early industrial revolution machine that was used to spin many spindles of thread at once. It greatly improved production in the textile industries and was particularly important in the cotton industry. It had a relatively simple design that utilized a number of shape and joint synthesis principles. With a few simple adjustments, like using hollow tubes and joint locking devices, the design of the spinning jenny could be improved. Here we also have listed the sources that we used to find information about the spinning jenny for this presentation.